Hello, and welcome to another crucial conversation with Avance on Some. Today, our topic is funeral planning, and we're so honored to have a special guest with us. Evan Sanford of Sanford Funeral Home, who's been doing amazing work in this community and in this field of work for quite some time now. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Avance on Some, and then we're going to go straight into the topic. And so Avance on Some's mission is to preserve Haitian culture and Haitian Americans, to build economic and political power, and work towards a common agenda. And today we want to talk about funeral planning as it relates to economic power, making sure that things are in order, and also that we're planning for what's to happen in the next generation. We know if it's one thing we're sure of, is that one day we will die, and the sooner we can plan for that, the better our families could be. So I'm going to turn over to Evans to really introduce himself, his background, why he got into this work, and then we'll talk all about Sanford Funeral Home.
All right, well, welcome everyone, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, and the work that you're doing is just so awesome.
Thank you.
Really keep up the good work. As far as me and what I do, again, as Sandra's mentioned, the name's Evans, Sanford with Sanford's Funeral Home, family-owned company. We've been in the business for now over 30 years.
Wow.
We started up in Haiti, in Léogâne, that's where my father's from. And then from there, we opened another funeral home in Gonguave, and then after that one, we decided to open up another one in Port-au-Prince.
Wow.
And during the time I was in school, and
Here?
Yes, in Florida.
Right.
I was in school here, and I was, starting to think about my future and what I wanted to do. And I realized that when I was in high school, that's when, the businesses started to flourish, that I wanted to continue what my father started and grow the business. And so as soon as I graduated high school down here is when I enrolled in college, and then I decided that I'm going to pursue mortuary science. And so I went to St. Thomas University, then Lynn University, and studied and finished and did my internship at a firm here in Florida. And after that is actually at the young age of 25, as I was doing my internship, I founded this location.
Oh, wow.
It was vacant, and as I approached the building, there were some numbers, and I made some phone calls and got a hold of the owner, and I pretty much negotiated a deal at the time to me, which was a great deal for us. And we walked into the building in the positive, because at the time the owner really wanted out.
Right.
And so when we got into this building, we pretty much just, did what we had to do in terms of just getting it back into shape, and we remodeled the whole facility.
Beautiful facility.
Thank you, thank you. And I've been running this location now for about 15 years.
Evans, you're young. What do you mean 15 years?
Believe it or not, 15 years, and yeah, 15 years. It's been that much time that I've dedicated into this work. It's not easy work, coming here every single day, it's not a happy place. You definitely have to be built for it. But I always say to myself that God places you exactly where He wants you to be.
Right. So tell us, I think in terms of building economic power or wealth, I think, you talk about this being a family business. How has that transition been working with your father? But also, what does it mean for, in terms of what you thought this would be? This was the first one, but there's also, you've grown from that. There's a client base that you serve. So tell us a little bit more about that, and we'll get specific into planning.
Well, like any other business company, when we started down here, my father, for the most part, stays in Haiti because of the other facilities there. And I started here, and believe you me, starting here was difficult because no one knew of me in that sense, and I pretty much had to build the business from ground zero. Because even with the funeral homes that we had in Haiti, they don't have the same name as the one here. They're all called different names. And so it was just like starting any business from ground zero. And it took a lot of hard work. Like in the beginning, literally, it was just me, my brother, and we had just one secretary. And I remember in the business, I would work 7 days a week. And I had to do other things to supplement my income and make sure that I can cover the expenses like any entrepreneur.
Right.
You know, you do what you have to do to make ends meet. And so it wasn't up until, 3 years after is when we started to see, get out of the red and into the black. And it took me 5 years to actually decide to have a vacation because I was so caught up doing every single job here in the facility. But, like anything else, hard work pays off.
Right.
And I'm in a better place today, thank God.
Definitely. So tell us a little bit about funeral planning. While it's not a happy subject, it's very necessary. And when you don't plan for what we know will come, it can really put you in a crisis situation. So what does St. Four offer? When people say funeral planning, what are they talking about? And what should we know?
Right. So that's an awesome question. And, I say to individuals all the time, if you look at some of the most successful people here in the world, the United States, or let's just say the wealthy, the only reason they've gotten to where they've gotten, it's not because one day they just woke up and said, I'm wealthy or I'm successful. No, it's all because of planning, or it's what their families had put in place for them, and then they just kept it going. And so, same situation with death. If you read the Bible, God says that, as a man, you're to leave an inheritance to your family. And so, if you think about it, why in the world would you want to pass away and then leave your family to be in confusion, and then also leave them with the financial burden of having to deal with those expenses, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like if you have children and you decide, well, I do want them to go to school and I want them to have a college education, you might be smart enough to say, well, let me put some money aside into something so that when they graduate high school, there's some money so that if they do want to attend college, we don't have to come up with this exaggerated amount of money to cover. So the same thing with funeral planning. It's the same idea, same concept. Why pass away and then put $20,000 or $30,000 in debt to your family? Instead, with planning, you'll set yourself up for success so that when you pass away with all those things being planned out, now all your family has to do is grieve, and so they don't have to worry about covering those costs.
Right.
And so it's very simple. It's just pretty much sitting with someone, thinking of what you want for yourself, and then on a monthly basis, putting as little as $40 to $50 to $80 down. It's not complicated. It's not anything that's going to take a mathematician to figure out.
Right. For our generation, it's not only doing that for ourselves, it's also ensuring that that's done for our parents, right? And one of the things that we often laugh about is the family unit in the States is different from what people consider the family unit to be in Haiti. And so in Haiti, the family unit includes the extended part of the family. And so if you know that's your family makeup, it's important to not only have that conversation with your parents, but aunts and cousins who you know that burden may be falling on you.
Right.
Right. And so what does that look like? What is the actual planning? So it's putting aside money. How much money are we talking? What does a funeral cost?
Right.
What are different options for people? If you can go a little bit more into that.
Sure. So, with planning, of course, there's several different options, and one of the options is, of course, cremation. There are ways where you could do a direct cremation, which is pretty much no services at all, which is the least expensive. On average, you can spend $1,300, $1,500 or something like that. And there are also options to where you can have a cremation but still have a service.
Right.
All right. On average, you're looking at about $6,000 for that type of service. And then you look into the funeral, then burial. When you're incorporating a funeral service and then a burial service on average, I would say today funerals are going for about 7,000, and then the cemeteries are averaging now about 7,000. So you're looking at about $14,000 for the funeral service and the burial service, and that's more on the lower end, not on the higher end or middle, more on the lower end.
So if you take, like, I want to be specific to our culture as well. So if you do a wake, if you do a reception, if you do a wake with a reception and a funeral with a reception, right, that's additional cost as well.
And those can cost a lot.
Right.
Just imagine putting a wedding together. It's the same idea. You're dealing with the funeral service, this burial service, and now that's become very popular. A lot of individuals now are incorporating the receptions because, you know, at the end of the day, it's kind of like a big old family reunion.
Yeah.
You haven't seen these people in a long time. Why not have a gathering?
Right.
And I actually recommend it because it's kind of like it puts you in a situation where you're going from a sad moment into a happy moment, because now you're getting to reflect on the individual and spend time with the family. So yes, the reception cost could be a whole different.
Yeah. And so what resources or what does St. Four Funeral Home offer in terms of options? I know earlier we were talking about, you talked about a payment plan.
Right.
I know you have a sanctuary, or what do you call it?
Chapel.
A chapel.
Right.
You have a chapel on site. I've been here before for a service. I think they do a wonderful job. They also have, I believe, caterers.
We do.
So talk a little bit more about all the services that you offer.
So, you know, for me, when it comes to my clients or our clients, the goal was, let's make this place a one-stop shop, right?
That's amazing.
Right, because you want a client to come in here and not have to worry about what else do I have to do. And my goal is so that when a client comes here, we handle everything for you, so you don't have to worry about those stresses. So an example of that would be is we sit together, and once we plan out the funeral service and the funeral service costs, I help you with the cemetery. I can help you with the flowers, as you mentioned.
Oh, you have a florist as well?
Yes.
Wow.
I've gone as far as to providing clothing.
Wow.
So if you don't want to have to purchase clothing, we will purchase the clothing. We have individuals that'll come here and style hair the way you want it styled. We do, like I mentioned, the catering. So if you want the food catered, you tell me exactly what you want. We have an on-site room here for receptions. As you mentioned, we have a church here that seats over 300. And so we also, of course, sell the urns and the caskets and all of those things. So when you come here, you don't have to go anywhere else, because we will handle everything from the vehicles, the limousines. I mean, every single item we handle.
Right, and that's just such a relief for so many families.
Right.
Anything specific to the Haitian demographic that we didn't talk about? I'm saying some is around Haitian American millennials. I think it's really important for us to talk about this stuff as it's coming.
Right.
People will age, and sometimes you don't age and you still pass away. And so what specific to our demographic do you think we haven't covered?
You know, the only thing I would say about our demographic and our community as a whole is, I know with the older generation, a lot of times they feel as if when you start talking to them about death, they're feeling like, oh, are you trying to say something to me,
right,
or
right.
are you wanting something to happen to me, or, you know, and it's really not all that serious. As I mentioned earlier, in order to plan for your family's success is literally that. It's to plan.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, believe it or not, you'll feel much more comfortable with yourself if you know all these things are set in place. And we have simple things like $100 deposit, and you pay small monthly payments as low as $50, and within a couple years you're done.
Right.
And just imagine, with that peace in mind, you'll feel much better with you leaving your family in a better place.
Right.
So that's the only thing about our culture, I would say, is just to have that conversation with your family. And also, that individual doesn't have to be the one to come and plan.
Right.
Anybody. So like if I wanted to plan for my dad or my mom, I could come here by myself and plan for them
And
if
they
I
don't have
want.
to sign off on anything.
No, I would be the one to sign off.
Right. So
Yeah.
I think that's the key. That's what's critical to us, that we don't have to wait for them to be
No.
ready to plan. I think a lot of it will fall on us, whether or not we're thinking about it. It's coming, and so to be ready for this, let's plug St. For. How can they find you?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, as far as finding me, I like to hide, so you're not gonna find me. Believe I'm like we said earlier, I'm not like a big public person, but you can always find us, of course, online at stfordsfuneralhome.com. We're on Facebook, of course, and we're on Instagram. And one thing I also wanted to mention that I didn't mention is for those that need the money, if there is an issue,
Right.
we can loan you the money. So if there's a family that comes to us and doesn't have it, we have a program in place as well where we can loan it to you and you pay us per month. So
Do you do shipment as well?
we do, and I didn't talk about that.
I'm
but
sorry.
No, it's fine. But with Haiti, of course, we can send someone to Haiti. We can have someone from Haiti come into the United States, and that way you can plan everything here without having to travel and hop on a plane. So, if someone wants to reach us, you could reach us at our, we're in North Miami Beach. The phone number is 305-940-1428. And again, I'm Evan. So, of course, you can find us on the internet anytime.
Thank you so much,
No, no.
Evans. It was a pleasure
Welcome.
to hear from you and to talk to you.
Definitely.
Thank you.